Okay.
We're all set?
Yep, I'm gonna pull up the agenda. Okay, now we're good. Thank you.
All right, very good. We'll call the meeting to order and start with introductions. I'm Matt Brower, Chair of the State Committee. And we will go to Darren. Is Darren on? Okay, Scott
Scott Ryan, voting member.
and Megan.
Megan Hauser, voting member.
All righty, and soon, hopefully, Maureen will be joining us and we can introduce her.
I'm here, Matt.
Bethany. Pardon?
I'm here. Maureen.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, then, let me introduce Maureen. She's joining the state committee as at-large representative for the urban, suburban, rural, and non-farm interests. And Maureen has extensive experience as an educator. She currently serves on the Montgomery County Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors and is an active member of the local watershed groups. Maureen also participates in Great Lakes Action Agenda meetings, NYACD annual meetings, and local town board meetings, and stays involved in upcoming emerging issues. So if you want to add anything to that, Maureen, feel free.
Just one correction, it's Monroe County, not Montgomery.
Oh, did I say Montgomery? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
My notes say Monroe, and I was somehow I got thinking of that wrong county. So Bethany, I guess you can do the rest of the.
Yes, sure will. Welcome aboard, Maureen. We're really looking forward to having you on the state committee, and thank you for joining today from Syracuse. We will go around the room here in Albany and jump to Syracuse, then we'll do the in-person location in Wyoming, and then I'll hit folks who are on the line. So I am Bethany Bisdu, Executive Director of the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee. Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Kosorski. I'm the Ecosystem-Based Management Program Manager.
Hi, I'm Jason Kokinos. I'm the Ag Non-Point Source Program Manager for State Committee.
I'm Tim Clark. I'm an engineer for State Committee.
Jennifer Clifford, Climate Resilient Farming Program Manager.
You already got Scott.
Melissa Gordon, Administrative Assistant.
Thank you. How about folks in Syracuse?
Hey, good morning. Ryan Cunningham. I'm a regional field staff in Region 4 for the State Committee.
Greg Albrecht for the State Committee and Ag and Markets, and I coordinate the AIM program and cost share programs and partnerships and certifications and all the staff that work on that.
Dan Welch, Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension in Cayuga County and advisory member for CCE.
Maureen Loophole, we just met.
Scott from Region 3 AEA.
PJ Emmerich, Region 2 AEA.
Is that everybody in Syracuse?
Yep.
All right, so moving to our Wyoming County location. Can folks go around the room there and introduce themselves?
Al Fagan, the District Manager for Wyoming County Soil and Water. I'm just not on camera.
Jim Breck, I'm a supervisor of Wyoming County representing at the Soil and Water Board.
I'm McCormick. I represent Grange.
Florino, I represent Bureau.
Darrell Hybe, Chairman of the Soil and Water Conservation District.
Megan, and glad Maureen, you've taken over the newest seat on the board.
Victor DiGiacomo, Regional Field Staff for Western New York.
I believe we missed just one person. It might have been the person who was farthest away. I think you said you're the Grange rep or the Farm Bureau rep?
The Grange rep, but Ron McCormick.
Who was after Ron?
Walt Farina, our
Farm
There we
Bureau
go.
representative, Wyoming County Soil and Water Conservation District Board.
That's who we missed. Thank you very much. Okay, so I will move to folks who are joining us on the line or virtually. For our advisory members, I'll do a roll call. Do we have anyone on from Ag and Markets? Okay, Cornell Cows.
Sure. Good morning, Julie Suarez, Cornell College of Ag and Life Sciences.
And Jared Popley
And
as
Kitty
well.
O'Neill from Cornell Extension.
Thank you. Good morning. How about CDEA?
Jessica Armstrong, Vice President, CDEA.
DEC?
County Presta Giacomo for DEC.
Molly Hassett, New York State DEC Division of Lands and Forests.
Good morning, everyone. How about Department of Health? Okay, Department of State? SUNY ESF? And NRCS?
Elena Covington, Assistant State Conservationist for Partnerships.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Blake Glover, State Conservationist, NRCS.
Good morning, Blake and Elena. Thanks for joining. That concludes our advisory members. I will move to doing a quick roll call of state committee staff who might be on the line. Ben Luskin,
Good morning, Ben Luskin, Region 5 AEA.
Chastity Miller,
Cassidy Miller here, AEM Base Coordinator.
Ron Bush,
Good morning, Ron Bush, AEM and CNMP Specialist with the State Committee.
Brendan Jordan,
Hi, good morning, everyone. Brendan Jordan, CNMP Specialist for the State Committee.
Gideon Frisbee,
Good morning, everyone. Gideon Frisbee, CNMP Specialist with the State Committee.
and I believe that's it. Did I miss any state committee staff? All right, so I just want to extend a welcome to all of our Soil and Water Conservation District partners who have joined on the line, as well as anyone else who might be joining us this morning. Please feel free to put your name and affiliation in the chat for our records. With that, we can move forward, Matt.
All righty, we'll go to the review and approval of minutes. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, a motion to approve,
I'll make motion.
second?
Second.
All righty, we'll go to voting. Is Darren on?
Let me double
Okay,
check.
Scott?
Aye.
Or Megan?
Aye.
Maureen? Maureen? And aye for me as well. Next item on the agenda is the correspondence. Bethany and Brian will take over.
So Brian had to take another meeting this morning and will be maybe joining us in a little bit, but for correspondence, we have a few newsletters here in the office available for folks to review. But I was provided a state committee staff report to deliver on behalf of Brian, who's been serving our division as our hiring manager. So Our division, the Division of Land and Water Resources at the department, has continued to work towards implementing a staffing plan that includes positions across both of main programs for the state committee as well as agricultural protection. I am happy and excited to be able to deliver some good news regarding 3 positions that have moved forward since we last met in July. So first and foremost, I'm very pleased to report that Gideon Frisbee has joined our team. He joined in mid-August as an associate environmental analyst in the program area to work with Ron Bush, Brendan Jordan, Chastity Miller, and Greg Albrecht, supporting our technical assistance training and certification through the AEM framework to deliver that to Soil and Water Conservation District staff, AEM certified planners, and other ag conservation partners. Gideon brings our team a wealth of experience from his time in Delaware County, starting where he started working as an intern and advanced from technician to whole farm planner to technical coordinator, where he oversaw projects and staff in both the New York City watershed and Upper Susquehanna watersheds. Gideon is a AEM certified planner, a CCA, and a CPESC, as well as an owner and manager of his family's small farm. Gideon will be based out of Delhi, New York, but will cover and will work statewide. So please join me in welcoming Gideon to service with the state committee and department. A second announcement that I am fortunate to be able to deliver is that I'm happy to report that Tim Sheldon, who has served as a Department Excelsior Policy Fellow, has successfully completed his fellowship as of early September with the Division of Land and Water Resources and is being retained by the division to support conservation programs and policy development, specifically with a focus on climate change programs and policies. Tim will be serving as a climate program and policy analyst and will support the state committee and the division in developing, implementing, and evaluating climate and related programming. Unfortunately, Tim is on leave today, so we're not able to welcome him in person, but please, when you have a chance, join me in congratulating him and welcoming him to the state committee. And lastly, the third position that I'd like to speak about, we recently received approval from the department to fill the Southeast Regional Coordinator position, which would expand our regional coordinator staff from 5 to now 6. So we're happy to report that the department's human resources has reached out to our selected candidate, and that candidate has selected the position or has accepted the position, excuse me. Their start date will be October 9th, and we will provide more details on this in the future. We are working to draft, and we will send out a welcome announcement when this candidate starts, which will be prior to our October meeting. When the position is officially filled, the state committee will be able to carry out its new regional coordinator staffing plan that we previously announced, including improving on the ratio of districts to regional coordinators in order to cut down on travel time and to better serve districts throughout the state. So that one has been a long time coming, and I'm very, very excited that we're able to move that one forward. Going forward, our continued staffing priorities for the state committee will include looking to fill a state aid to districts position that will also serve as a coordinator for district operational support and potentially outreach projects. This position will support a state committee and will support me as the executive director who's currently filling some of those duties. So we're looking forward to moving that position forward in the future. Any questions? Or we can wait until maybe Brian joins.
All righty, I guess we will go to the soil health policy discussion with Greg Albrecht.
All right. Greg,
Thank you,
let
Matt.
me,
Thank you, Bethany.
do you want to, I'll pull up the slides.
That would be wonderful. Thanks.
All right, bear with me here.
While you're doing that, I can do a little background. So every 2 years, the state committee considers an update to the soil health policy. And so this has been, we've mentioned that this homework assignment is coming your way back in the spring. And then while that was happening, we've been working drafts of it through the technical advisory committee a couple times, and then the every other month state programs advisory committee focused with all districts who participate who fall into those. And so it's made it through a good review and has some good updates that we'll, Bethany, with the next slide, get into here. A little bit of background here, and ultimately, I know the voting members have seen the draft for your consideration for a review and a vote. Certainly the districts and other partners have seen it through their advisory committees. This policy was started in 2014, right around and used in Ag Point Source around 20, so roughly 10 years ago. It was called the Soil Conservation and Cultural Policy, and then in 2019 we gave it a maybe more familiar and representative name of the Soil Health Policy. And it's to advance that definition of soil health, which tough to get more fundamental and noble than that, through the goal of increased long-term adoption of practices on farms for improved soil health. And the sort of tactics of the policy or the approach, that's all summary of what's written in longhand in the policy document for consideration today, is that it's uniformly used across all the cost share programs within the AIM framework, so CRF, AIM base, Ag Point Source, so on. It focuses on soil health practices that have a fairly uniform or consistent cost from across the state and from farm to farm. And so that means that it doesn't capture all practices or practice systems that advance soil health on farms. And the ones that aren't on the list tend to be more variable in cost from farm to farm. Like you might see repairing forest buffers or mulch, or another one that comes up in conversation a lot are organic amendments like biochar. You know, there's a wide variation in product costs and so on. So it's not a great fit for flat rates per practice, and better to budget specifically with that particular farm's project. The flat rates themselves are based on a running average of the last 3 years, if the data is available, of statewide NRCS equip rates, plus a little incentive, 20% for all practices except for cover crops, which gives a 1.35 multiplier for that to kind of future-proof the costs a little bit and provide extra incentive and coverage for the farmers' participation in the program and use of these beneficial practices. The flat rates and our policy have been built into our state committee procurement policy, so it streamlines both the upfront procurement in these projects as well as the closeout documentation. A really fundamental part of the policy is technical assistance with the district, sometimes partners and the farmer, to help in the riskiest, trying things out, tinkering, trying to figure out what mix of people and equipment and timings and seed mixes and so on work to have soil health practices become valuable to the farm, such that they would adopt it and continue them after the contract is closed, just as part of their normal management. So true adoption is the goal here. Sometimes that's a lofty one and difficult to achieve, but it's what we strive for, because that's how we accumulate benefits over time. It involves certified crop advisor certification for that journey of tinkering and honing and refining and getting better agronomically with the practice, to the 3 to 5 years of the contract for soil health practices. And sometimes that's with a district staff person who's a CCA. Sometimes that's with a neighboring district. Sometimes that's with a partner. And, we see mentoring opportunities for all involved there, of working with a more experienced, seasoned agronomist there. It also includes, it's not just practices, but it includes flat rates for testing services like the Cornell assessment of soil health or CASH test, or basic nutrient tests, or heavy metal tests, or compost and manure nutrient analyses. And then, like I said before, we revisit this every 2 years. So we're on a cycle here to do that, so that we can, if approved today, plummet into the just announced, the timing is just tight enough where we're allowed to do it, the just announced CRF round 9, and the upcoming this fall Ag Point Source 31. And then of course it'll go into play for AIM base program round 19, which starts on January 1st of 2026. Since 2014, the districts have done a lot of work with this policy in the form of, oh, sorry, next slide, Bethany. I changed it on my computer and I wondered why I didn't change it there. Thank you very much. Done a lot of work with this over the last 10 years with farmers, and farmers have too, in working through that 3, 4, sometimes 5-year process of honing the management of these soil health practices. You can see that the one that seems to be most popular by far are cover crops with the largest acreage, and then some of the list of the other ones, and the investment both from the state through our programs, as well as through farmer or perhaps a local share that the district brought to it there at the bottom. This is a snapshot of completed or closed out contracts, just to sort of be black and white about it. If you were to add in those plus the ones maybe from the more recent rounds that are still in play and active, it would about double these numbers in terms of what was proposed and awarded for those. So, stay tuned on the various reports that we give, that our team gives on program outcomes led by districts and farmers. Bethany, next slide. So that was the units of implemented soil health practices and the investment by the state and farms. And this is the environmental outcomes. You've seen this before. It's the same formula of using consistent with DEC approaches, the Chesapeake models, outcomes for nitrogen, phosphorus, and solids, and then Comet Planner method for carbon dioxide equivalents. And you can see continued work really adds up across all of these sort of environmental measures, if you will. And this sort of underscores the importance of adoption. So if we just keep, if we have to have public investment into the same acres every year to just keep this going, we could just stay at this number essentially divided by 10, because this is a 10-year snapshot. But if we move on to new acres every year, and the old ones, and a decent proportion of the prior acres with farmers in prior rounds of funding continue that, then you can see that the benefits would ramp up and accumulate. And that's what we need for our watersheds. That's what we need for Climate Act, and these are soil health practices. So going back to that definition about how fundamental it is for the productivity of the farm, the profitability of the farm, the ability to buffer extreme events, whether dry like now or extreme precipitation, all really important. Next slide, please. My intention was just to sort of give an arm's length view of progress there, not really dive into the numbers. That data is certainly there for in the minutes and, welcome discussion afterward or at subsequent state committee meetings on those. So that's the work done. In the last 10 years, excluding those projects that are contracts that are still open. So a lot of good progress yet to come. And here are the updates in the draft before you there for consideration today. As usual, we take a look at the latest flat rates from EQIP, as well as the current laboratory rates for those testing services, and update them. There was the third bullet there that there was a suggestion from some districts about just simply presenting the data. This is just a math thing as 100% rates. And that districts would take those and plug them into the SW3 BMP budgets according to the cost share rules of that particular program. Is it 80-20? Is it 75-25, depending on the program, as well as the local project interests for state share and match within those overarching program limits. So that's how you see them reflected. And then so districts will work with their staff and farmers and regional coordinators and program managers to help adapt to that and design those budgets. There's a small change just to streamline the process for districts using lower than the max flat rates that are articulated in this policy. And then perhaps the most significant change was a response to districts' requests for another avenue or approach to budgeting and then contracting and implementing equipment-based projects that are focused on advancing or improving nutrient applications relative to a farm's current management. And those three very specific, very focused scenarios included in this policy upgrade are for manure incorporation, manure injection, and then precision nutrient application, which is focused on fertilizer, all according to NRCS 590 scenarios. And that's applicable in the programs that have allowances for equipment purchases and equipment-based projects. And those are currently CRF and ag non-point source, and that's not an eligible type of project in AIM-based tier 4 cost share at this point. And like I started out with, this is requested by districts as like a third or fourth, I think, budgeting and contracting option for equipment-based nutrient management projects. The others being, contracting with a custom operator or some other way of purchasing the equipment with the grant and then reimbursing it over the time of use. So there's now flat rates that can be used consistently with the other flat rates in soil health that cover these three scenarios in the table of rates, which Bethany, I guess you can go to the next slide there. And if anybody wants discussion at the end, we can go back to other ones too. So it's on this table. And then since there's some complexity with the nutrient management additions there, there's a couple of paragraphs of guidance, kind of similar to what we did around the covered crops practice, since there's some nuances to that. So with that, that's the long and short, or short and short of the updates to the soil health policy. Welcome any questions or clarifications, and I'll try my best.
Are there any questions or discussion?
I just had a comment to Greg. I just appreciate the method used to get the flat rates. I think that's got to be a lot easier to fill out applications having those available. And I think so if you get this contract, you keep that flat rate through, right? So if the contract gets extended, they're going to have the initial flat rate. So it's got to also encourage people to move more timely on getting their processes and their applications done, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Is they'll increase every 2 years essentially is what the trend it has been, if I understand your question.
Well, they'll increase, but if I got my contract in 2025 and and it goes through 2027 and I haven't got it done and I ask for an extension, I'm still getting those 2025 rates, right?
Yes, thank you. Yes, exactly. You're.
Oh, I want to get it done instead of asking for an extension.
Yep, that's a good point. Thank you, Megan.
I have a question. You mentioned biochar.
Yeah.
And how widely spread is that application now?
I gotta acknowledge the pun there. That was a good one. There's the biochar expert in the state is Debbie Aller out of the Cornell Soil Health Program. She might be an interesting person to bring in and discuss in a future meeting or attack or something like that, but I don't have a sense. It's not terribly wide. The sources are variable. It can be expensive. One has to have their wits about them to tinker with it. Probably smaller applications, I'm sort of thinking about Debbie's presentations that I've heard on specialty crop farms. Would be where it's starting. If there are other on the line that have heard of Debbie Aller talk more recently, may want to layer into that, please feel free.
It's something we've been using at home, so it's
Yeah.
yeah. So
And your thoughts on it?
I think it really increases growth in my garden. Holds on to more nutrients and from what I understand from a winery tour where they were using it.
Yes,
a couple years ago, that they did some studies that you don't have to keep applying it. That there's a more of a long-term effect on it. But I just wonder what we're going to see if it's something like this.
Yeah, it is absolutely eligible within our programs. It's just because of its wide range of costs, depending on the type of product.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit well into a flat rate policy. But if there's a standard for it within our CS, it would fit within our soil health system from the Ag E&P catalog and could totally be plumbed into one of our programs for the benefits that you mentioned.
Yeah, my source was a private person who makes it. So yeah.
I will say that the standard that comes along with organic amendments essentially requires a nutrient management plan for the farm, though. So it has some technical complexity to plan this in, which is a prerequisite for any of our projects in the cost share programs.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Good question.
This is Kitty O'Neill with CCE. I can speak to that a little bit, Greg. There is a lot of unknowns about biochar. It's very niche-y at this point, but growing. And there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of research projects to sort of get at the impact to nutrient management, for example.
So this is Julie. I put a link in the chat for people who want to learn more. I will never pretend to even remotely be Debbie Aller, but I appreciate everybody's comments about her. She's wonderful. She's been doing a lot of trials. I put the link in the chat from our soil health program, which does talk about some of our trials. I'd say that the comment on source is really appropriate because the sources are really hard right now. We are doing a trial and we just had a really fun extension field days with Doug Young, where he's got a mini pyrolysis kiln. I'll put another link in the chat for anybody who doesn't know about that. So he is making some biochar from dairy manure, which is going quite well after, this is what research is for, right? After working through a lot of small scale problems with him. And there are a couple of really innovative startups. I think the company is Finger Lakes Biochar. I'll find it and put it in the chat. They've been a finalist in our Grow New York competition for a few times. I think supply will get there, but supply is definitely a challenge, but the benefits are pretty awesome. So, and if you do want to have Debbie come speak to the group, I'm happy to help facilitate that. Although obviously Ag Markets, you work with Debbie too as well.
Yeah, Bethany, I was going to suggest that maybe that would be a good topic for a future meeting.
Absolutely.
Or even attack, perhaps.
Yeah, either or both. Any other discussion, questions? If not, we
Do farms that have been implementing the soil health program and I'll share and everything. Do they keep doing it afterwards? That, like, is it a long-term solution for many?
Yeah, so I think I'm not quite sure where to schedule that in, given other priorities right now in our team, but that is a good follow-up study. We did one through a survey that Jason Kokinos, I think, led, right? In your first term here, Jason. Easily 5 years ago. And it was a survey of districts and with various things relative to soil health. And, one question was how many of the farms that you've worked with through the programs continue it without the programs, and the district feedback at that point. So it's good, but it's not survey to farmers, right? It was about 2/3 continue, which, that's pretty satisfying, right?
Yeah.
I think there's probably more complex and deeper surveying to be done to get a better sense of that, and that would be interesting. I did look at the same contract data, closed contract data. And actually for this one, I included the open contracts too for soil health practices of how many of the unique AIM IDs, and that indicates an individual farm are doing repeat projects with soil health practices on cover crops. I focused on cover crops with the district, and it's only about 15%. So what that's showing is that from round to round that there are a lot of new farms coming in. So that might indicate that, yep, I'm continuing to work on it, even though I'm not in a part of a formal contract. It could also indicate that they shifted over to NRCS maybe for funding. It might indicate that that they weren't as keen on it anymore and they moved on. Yeah. So those are kind of the scenarios, and it's an excellent question, and it would be a good analysis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We had a question in the chat too.
Oh, yeah. PJ might have seen thank you for that question in the chat. If you want to come off mute or any.
All right, any other?
Well, Amanda's question in the chat was, will the grant RFPs elaborate on eligibility such as the rates are only used for changes in management or new practices? So if a farm is already incorporating manure, they may not be eligible for an incentive payment.
Simple answer, that's correct. It's meant to take a farm that's not doing this to doing that practice.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, we need a motion to approve the soil health policy.
I motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second that. Maureen Leopold.
All righty. We'll go to voting. Darren, if you're on. Scott.
I'm sorry, we were muted. Go ahead, Scott.
Aye.
All right, so all right. And Bethany, Darren's still not on, correct?
Correct. He is. I do not see him on.
Okay. Megan.
Aye.
Maureen.
Aye.
And aye for me as well. So the motion is approved. And we will go to the post-tree planting stewardship policy, and Chastity Miller will discuss that with us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bethany. So you guys have, just like the soil health policy, we have proposed a post-planting tree stewardship program. If you'll hit the next slide, Bethany. So this is kind of taken off from the original riparian buffer establishment policy. And what we wanted to do was take those great projects and continue to support them after the trees are planted. Originally, our ideas and our thoughts were for the AEM program, but as we worked through the drafts of this and the program, we were thinking this would be great for all of our programs, similar to soil health. And so this policy works with the buffers, with grazing systems, any tree planting, forestry, agroforestry. So the continuation of monitoring, keeping the vegetation under control, replacing trees that aren't coming in, fixing fencing, watering and replanting. Again, use for all of our programs, the same as soil health for set rates in the same process as Greg explained earlier on getting those rates. If you'll hit the next slide, then we can see the rates and the different practices. And so basically we looked at districts and asked them what they were doing and where they were doing them. We picked the most popular practices and gave them a flat rate. And again, at that 100% state flat rate. These were, again, the most popular. And if you can see at the bottom of that slide, Greg also added and expanded on some more specifics for each of those practices so that you kind of have a bit of an idea of where and where how each one's applicable. I'm going to pause for a second just so you can take a look at, there's a lot on this slide. The other thing we did also here, and you guys have seen these once or twice before, was we took the equip rates, just like soil health, did the multiplier and got these rates. We also got great feedback from districts on if the rates were not maybe high enough. So we had made some also adjustments to the mechanical control in particular to increase that. Okay, hit the next one unless you have any questions on this slide so far. I want to pause for a second there. Rate next. Oh, sorry. Sorry, a train just came through, so I don't have a squeaking pig, but I have a barking dog. So, so we are proposing to continue using the post-tree stewardship plan. So that way, it's similar to what we had before. That plan originally had a startup and a continuation of monitoring and checking and planning for that, those systems. So it actually works really well already. Districts can utilize the SW3 with the BMP system and the practices below there. A lot of our team have taken the SWs already and made some adjustments to those so that they're there for use. And again, I want to take a second and say, if you decide these rates don't work for your project or you want to use actual rates, you can actually do that at any time. Our goal really was to help districts start to build in this cost that they were already doing and get paid to do it. So again, there's a lot of labor also involved with planting trees, adding tubes, fixing fences, watering, mowing. And so if you could, I'm just going to close my door really quick. Hang on.
I don't hear anything. It sounds fine, Chaz. I think the filter works.
Oh, good, because he sounds really loud to me. Sorry.
More distracting to you, probably, yeah.
Yeah, something's out in the backyard or something. So again, sorry for the distraction on my part more. So again, utilizing the SW3 and the SW4, I've also started to develop a model SW3 and SW4 for a project where they actually implemented a riparian buffer, and then we're monitoring it for 4 years beyond that. And so again, this is to support districts' work that they're already doing already, really good work that they're using. And we just want to make sure we're supporting district plans and programs. Let me check my notes and make sure I'm not missing anything, because I did add some notes here. Everybody's been working on this. But can you go back to the slide with the rates on it? Bethany, do you mind? There you
Nope,
go.
not at all.
Amanda in the chat asked, where does a tractor or a brush hog fit in? And there's some specific notes right there at the bottom. And I think that may address those questions. So number 5.
It's missing in brush management, that's all.
Okay, we can make that adjustment. Okay, thank you. Let me just make a note on that. Thank you so much, Amanda. All right, hit back down 2. Thank you. So again, we've kind of taken a look at this policy quite a bit through the summer here. We've got the SPAC meeting, the TAC meetings. We've gotten amazing feedback from you guys and also the districts on this this policy. And again, this is supporting districts to continue to maintain and monitor tree programs as part of BMP implementation and systems. For all of the state committee programs. So Round 19, Ag Non-Point Source, and CRF, maybe any other programs that happen to come forward. We're hoping to continue to look at these numbers and these rates every 2 years or so, also like the soil health, so that we make sure we stay up with the numbers and whatnot. Did I miss anything, Greg, in my adventures?
Thank you.
Any more questions? Any thoughts on that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we going to drive you people nuts? But
Oh, no, absolutely
when
not.
I'm reading this, so I see you expect 3 or 4 or more years that the trees will be tended, which is fabulous. But do these rates mean like for, let's say, an individual wood container tree, $24 each year, or just across the board once? So
Great question.
We go back 3 or 4 years.
So
each year.
It would depend on how you build your project when you submit it for your application. So the way that I've been working on the SW that I've been building, I did the initial year as the implementation and the planting of the project. And then I added 4 more years each year. What I estimated I would have in tree loss. I added more trees to come and be purchased each year, and some mechanical mowing, some maybe invasive species removal for each year. So each year would have its own set of funding. So it all depends on how you build. Does that make sense? And how you
Yes,
build
it
your
does.
SW?
Yes.
Okay,
You might get
perfect.
different needs, different years.
That's right.
Yeah.
Part of the plan, like Chaz was saying there, is it would be based on monitoring, and then we see how many mortalities there were and replace them.
Yeah. So this is brand new?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
This.
It builds off from a riparian buffer implementation policy that we have, but it's taking that next step.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I know you summarized that, but it was just focused on the aim-based program for riparian forest buffers, and it just made sense. There were comments from within our staff and from districts of why don't you expand it out to any tree planting activity across all the programs, and I appreciate the districts and staff who helped us figure that out. And it also is just, it's sort of an organizational convenience pathway. One can still build in a budget into a project to do these post-planting stewardship activities conventionally using, this appropriate NRCS practice and this, local estimate of cost. So it's really, it can be used, but they can also just do it the old school way too.
I think it's great.
I appreciate the putting together the document. I think that's a lot of appropriate forethought. Just one question I had, Chastity, was you mentioned the district can apply for the funds, but that's not necessarily the district doing the upkeep. It could be going to the landowner who's doing the upkeep. Is that correct?
Correct, absolutely. And more than likely it's both. So the landowner will probably have assistance from a district. They can do it all themselves, absolutely. But you can also build in on our SW4 time for the district to go out, monitor, maybe help out a little bit if they have that kind of staff. Maybe hire an intern if they have a larger program where they have multiple projects. So there's a quite a bit of opportunity there.
Okay, and then my other thought, and you may have already taken this into account, but I don't know how long that oversight continues on. So as we continue to see mass casualties of some forests that are well established, if a young forest is infected with a invasive or insect, is that something that is that taken into account anywhere? Or is that something that needs to be thought about? Or it's just we deal with it when that kind of thing happens?
That's a great question. And I think that's a tough one. I think that, it's hard to plan ahead, but you could apply for funding through a program to address that after that. We've built the program to keep monitoring 4 to 5 years. But those things we can't always expect. So you can always go back at it with another program or see if you can make those adjustments. And again, our programs are built for if, say the first year you don't have a mass casualty or a bigger casualty of plants, that funding can be shifted to the next year. And so there is a little flexibility there. Anything you want to add to that, Greg?
Part of, the ongoing conservation work by districts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, Matt.
Yep. Any other questions or discussion? I know my brother brush hogged one of my trees, but I assume it's hard to plan for that.
It always is.
If there's no other questions or discussions, we need a motion to approve the post-tree planting stewardship policy.
I motion to.
Or second.
Okay, we got a first and second there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we will go to voting then. Darren, if you're on. Scott?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
And aye for me as well, so the motion is approved. We are going to the program updates. Ag Environmental Management Base Program with Chastity again.
Awesome. So I just put together a couple highlights and I threw it into a letter that Bethany will probably email later with the minutes. So just so that we could all look at each other again for a few minutes. We're doing really good. Round 19 contract date. So that's our next round. That goes from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028. 57 out of 58 districts are participating. So we gained 4 districts this round. We have 1 left that's working on getting in and getting their strategy together so that they can be added to the next round, 20, which I think is fabulous. So then we'll have all districts in. The contracts have all gone out to districts for signature. So a huge thank you to the districts of recommending, hey, let's do this a little bit earlier so we can have contracts in place by the start date on January 1st. So it is also allocated almost $33 million worth of funding. 17, almost 18,000 in technical assistance for districts and 15,000 in implementation funding for producers. So great job, everybody. Looking forward to the next round, which will be a 3-year contract, not a 2-year contract. That being said, we're in round 18 right now. That contract ends at the end of December. That's actually December 31st. Things are seeming to go very well. That's 53 out of the 58 districts. Everybody's working on construction for the most part. There are some projects that have been pre-closed out, so that's fabulous. Good luck and keep those going. Everybody's doing a great job, and we've had a lot of claims for payment for continuing technical assistance work and lots of questions. On December 31st of this year, also AEM strategies are due. I have received probably 6 or 7 of them, and I've been working with some districts on helping them get those together. So pretty exciting on those coming through and getting together. And that's the district's plan for what they're going to do with their AEM program. We are also doing a presentation next week at the NACDE and NYACD conference on AEM. Greg and myself will head that one up. And so we're excited to get what AEM is out to the Northeast states and have them understand what New York does in particular. And then the team is also working on 4 classes for Conservation Skills Workshop, which will be October 6th through the 9th. One of the big things I want to point out, and we're going to work on highlighting a little bit, is we're celebrating 25 years of AEM in New York. So if you can believe that, that's where we're at with it, but we have great program, great districts participating, and a lot of amazing work going on out there. So do you have questions for me on AEM base program? Cool.
All right,
Thank you.
If there's no questions, we'll go to the ecosystem-based management program with Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Prozorski. I'm the program manager for ecosystem-based management. The ecosystem-based management program, it's been around since I think 2009 we started. So it's not a steady source of funding. We request funding each year through the EPF fund, through the Ocean and Great Lakes Initiative for that. So anyways, do a lot of pilot projects, small projects in the Great Lakes watershed historically, and some are statewide, but it allows us to target specific BMPs sometimes, target specific watersheds, a little more flexibility that we can do to highlight specific practices or areas that our other programs don't allow for. So these are just listed up there are the current open rounds of past projects we have. There was the erosion and sediment control implementation. These are small grants in the Genesee River. we did 3 rounds of funding for field level erosion sediment control practices, and all those projects are now closed. There are a few 3 open projects left in a second project that we did in the Finger Lakes watershed. So even though it says 2018, that's kind of how I track it. That's the funding, that's the year the funding came from, but the grants aren't that old in those. But there's just 3 open projects yet, and that one will be complete. Also out of 2018 funding, we did a pilot project for micro irrigation, water management. There were 21 projects funded, and this was very popular. And actually, I still get calls about doing another round of funding for this project. But they've all closed now except for 3 projects that we'll be finishing up. And then when the New York State Grown and Certified program began, we did an AIM implementation, Grown and Certified Farms. If there's AIM worksheets related, because you're aware, they're required to do those. And this was to encourage those farms to actually implement their AIM plans as part of it. So we did 3 rounds of funding. The first round 1 and round 2, all projects, most of the projects have closed. I have 3 of the round 2 projects out of 13 that are still open. So in 2021, we funded a 3rd round, and 13 of those projects are still open. But again, they're more new. I have noticed a trend with the ecosystem-based management projects that there's a lot more time extension requests coming in, and I think that's probably reflective of all our programs. Districts are just, overwhelmed the amount of projects going on. So we've been trying to work with them as much as possible. So more currently, and this has taken a little while, but we just recently released a new program for stream corridor management pilot. And actually next week, I'm not going to go into the details because next Tuesday we'll be having a webinar to review that new RFP, but it is available on the department website. And part of the reason this took a while is it is through the state financial system grants, and there's, was a learning curve for me in particular, probably, everybody in the department on how that program works and computer. And I think this will be, it's a pretty simple application as far as the SFS grants. And so for districts who aren't sure, I really encourage you to make sure you have your roles set up and you can log on and access that. Even if you don't want to apply, it's a good chance to see if you have access, make sure your roles are set up, and take a look at how applications look. Part of the webinar next week will include our contact at ITS, who will do a brief overview of how to apply through SFS.
Just pause real quick. I think there was a hand raised. Morgan, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question about the stream corridor management program. And that's available for every district, every county statewide?
Yes, it is. Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, cool. No, that's
Correct.
okay. I figured it was, but I just want.
Because it's Ocean and Great Lakes funding, there are preference points for projects that are in, and the RFP does include a map. So if it has direct drainage to the Atlantic Ocean or in the Great Lakes watershed, it would receive preference points.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
So the next funding opportunity that we're working, this is a little more detail. So there will be 4 tracks on that and how they break out. So it will fund stream channel restoration up to $100,000 per project, riparian buffers up to $50,000 per project. As a follow-up to the ramp rural roads work that districts have been doing and the culvert assessments. It will fund stormwater culvert, roadside runoff control, up to 100,000 per project. And then there's a small, only funding at maximum 3 projects for public outreach and education on stream corridors. But again, I'll go over more of that next week. There's 2 million that is available total. Next slide might have the dates. No, so I didn't include that. Also, those opportunities are not due until December 8th. But again, please don't wait too long to make sure you have access in SFS. Anyways, other upcoming opportunities that we have, we've been working discussions on an engineering assistance program to offer. We have at least $1 million right now for funding for private sector engineers to help implement projects that districts are working on. So it can't be projects that have other state funds, but and then this will probably be available for projects on both agricultural and non-agricultural lands. And we're hoping again that this will be early in 2026 released. And then in last year's funding, we did receive $1 million for ecosystem restoration and resiliency, and that's to help districts implement the regional watershed management plans, and they are a high priority through the Ocean and Great Lakes funding. DEC has worked with partners locally to develop these management plans, and this has been designed to help implement them. So hopefully that will be out next year as well.
And we're just starting to work on that particular opportunity, right? So there's really, it's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, that one, yes, definitely, yeah.
That's it for you.
That's it.
Questions on EBN?
Wendy has a question. Could this funding be broadened to include supporting soil and water district engineers, as there are numerous districts that have engineers on staff that could use funding to support the design work on non-ag lands?
So I guess that, I mean, that was brought to me. We've discussed it. At this time, I think we are leaning towards no. The intention was to be able to get more projects designed in engineering. So, I guess paying for existing staff doesn't, it would be hard to justify how we're advancing. I understand with the non-ag, that's a good point. We could discuss it.
I just would appreciate that. I would just state that, non-ag engineering support is hard to come by, rather, or regardless if you're going to the private sector for engineers or if you're doing it internally. And if I have staff or districts have staff that are professional engineers, why wouldn't the state committee support them doing that type of engineering work?
Yeah, I guess if it's non-agricultural, I mean, under the agricultural, our discussion would be in that the AIM base was expanded to include that. I guess we wouldn't want to see the district's engineers, taking away from agricultural work to do the non-agri, to have this fund a program that actually works against our other programs. So, we'll discuss it. Like I said, it's still in the development stage. I think everybody's been in agreement to, try and make this as helpful as possible. So I appreciate your comment.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Lauren. We'll go to the Ag Non-Point Source Pollution Abatement Control Program with Jason.
Thank you, everyone. So I'll give you an update on Ag Non-Point Source before we move into the one amendment request we have today. So on the next slide, I have my dashboard that I update every month. So I'll start with active rounds. We'll move chronologically through the program. So in rounds 23 through 29 are active rounds. There were a total of 368 contracts. 169 of those have been completed, 25 were canceled, and 122 are still active. I am currently reviewing 2, now 3, since I received 1 in since this was posted. Since last meeting, we have closed out 7. This includes 3 round 24s, 1 round 25, and 3 round 26. And the ones I'm reviewing are round 29s. So exciting to see. These 29, round 29 is getting closed out. In round 30, we are building contracts and our procurement record to be sent on to the Office of the State Comptroller. That's all but completed and will be done after this today to move on to our council, then State Comptroller. And we are also working with our press release office for, I think it's okay to share that in 2 weeks, we'll be visiting a farm in Cortland County to give an official press release of round 30 and highlighting a farm that received Bond Act funding. So that'll be very exciting and kind of kick off the round. Moving forward to round 31. This was approved by the state committee back in our state committee visit in Cortland back in July. And we are now that we have approval, working with council to make language consistent across AIM, CRF, or other programs. Really just language things, changes, nothing substantive that you guys voted on. So no change to that, just trying to get consistent definitions and items in our RFP. I'm also working on a highlights document for round 31. And for that, we plan a release in January of 2026. And then follow through. We will then close up following when awards of CRF have been done later in the spring, anticipatory April of 26. So that is Ag Non-Point Source rounds current through round 31 anticipated.
Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move to the amendments.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. So I have one amendment request today from Essex County. I'll wait for us to pull apart.
Sorry.
And while we are pulling up the information, I wanted to mention like a technical point about this amendment request is that it is coming in without a updated landowner commitment form. However, we still wanted to bring the request to state committee just to not lose an additional month in the timing. The district is in contact with the farm and they are pushing it forward. They have good communication and they've completed designs for it. But that's just something we would need to push the amended contract forward. It doesn't change approval or motion today. So this amendment request is from Essex County Soil and Water Conservation District on a round 28 project titled number C701503 titled Essex Runoff Reduction Grant. They are seeking a 1-year no-cost time extension. There are 2 participating farms on this grant. One farm has been non-responsive and they are anticipating canceling that portion of the grant. So the extension is centered around the other participating farm. They have had difficulty getting engineers and contractors in the region, very backlogged in part due to natural disasters and these contractors being pulled away. The contracted systems were successfully bid out this summer in August 2025 and are anticipated to be completed this fall. They are just requesting additional time, 1-year extension to complete BMPs and to complete all reporting requirements for the grant. So extension to the first of the year, or excuse me, the end of January of 2027. Ryan Cunningham, Region 4 AEA, has supported this request but refers to state committee.
Any questions concerning this amendment? Not, we need a motion to approve.
I make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Alrighty, we'll go to voting. Darren, Scott,
Aye.
Megan,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
and aye for me as well. So the motion is approved. We will go to climate resilient farming program with Jennifer.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, that's good. So updates for the Climate Resilient Farming Grant Program. This first slide is just something to keep in mind as we go through this program. The goals are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions on farm, increase carbon sequestration on ag lands, and help farms prepare for a changing climate and become more resilient. Next slide, please. So we have 4 tracks within the CRF program. The first track is for livestock management. The second track is for adaptation and resiliency projects. The third track is healthy soils and light. And the fourth track is agricultural forest management. Next slide, please. So an update on round 8. All of the necessary approvals have been granted now to use state funds to cover the federal funding loss that happened under tracks 1B for covered flare projects and track 3B for soil health projects. So those contracts are moving forward with state funding now. Track 1B and track 3B contracts, they've all been approved by council and are either out for signature or awaiting approval by OSC or the AG's office. So almost all of the contracts under round 8 have been executed. Next slide, please. Round 9 has been released, which is exciting news. We've been working on round 9 for a while now, and it has finally hit the Ag and Markets website. And we have 24 million available. The RFP is on our state committee SharePoint site for districts to access and the AGM website. A official press release will be going out during Climate Week, which is at the end of the month. There is a round 9 RFP webinar that will be happening September 19th at 10 a.m. An invite has gone to soil and water conservation districts who are our applicants for the program. Anyone is available to attend the RFP. If anyone has not received a link and is interested in attending, please reach out to me. Next slide. We have had 9 or 8 rounds of the Climate Resilient Farming Grant Program. A total of 283 contracts have been executed with 110 closed out and or canceled, leaving 157 active contracts. So we have awarded over 69 million under CRF program. Next slide, please. This is just another representation of that table. Next slide. So that's really all I have for updates for the program. And there are a few amendments unless there are any questions.
Just one question. When you have canceled and closed joined together there, do you know percentage wise how many were canceled?
I don't. I can separate that so you can see the difference for next meeting.
Sure, that'd be great. Thanks.
Sure.
I mean, that would be fair for maybe Ag Non-Point Source too.
He already does that.
Any other questions or discussions? Oh. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if there are any other questions. So we do have.
Go to the amendments. I think.
Thinking the same thing, Matt. Thanks. So we do have 3 amendments. There was a staff approved amendment that did occur for Ulster County for a round 8 contract. Ben Luskin, Region 5 AEA approved a landowner change where the SWCC proposed a landowner change due to the original landowner reducing the amount of acreage that they were overseeing. And another farm operator is able to take on that acreage of the same land. So that amendment was approved. There are 2 other state committee amendments for state committee consideration. So the first one is in Region 2 from Onondaga. It's a Round 6 project. It's a time extension request. The contract ended on 4/30/2026, or will end on 4/30/2026, and a time extension has been requested to the end of 2026. The SWCD is requesting a no-cost time extension because the farm was unable to plant all of their proposed cover crops due to poor weather conditions. The time extension will provide an additional season to plant those cover crop acres. The farm and districts are committed to completing this project. PJ Emmerich, Region 2 AEA supports the request but refers to the state committee. There have been no other amendments on this contract.
Any questions or comments on this amendment? If not, a motion to approve.
I'll make motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we'll do the voting. Darren? Scott?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
And aye for me as well. So the motion is approved.
I have to recuse.
Thank you. So Scott Ryan is recusing from this amendment request due to his farm being involved. So the next request is a Region 3 from Schoharie County. The contract is requesting a time extension to the end of 2025. The SWCD is requesting a no-cost time extension because weather delayed the completion of the pasture management project in the spring of this year. The contractor is actively working on the project. All parties are working to complete the project and close out by the end of the year. The farm and district are committed to completing the project within the new time frame. Oh, Scott, Region 3 AEA supports the request but refers to the state committee. There has been one other time extension request, but this project is actively being completed.
Any questions or discussion? If
I move
not-
that we approve.
Oh, okay, second.
I'll second that, Maureen.
All right, we'll go to voting. Megan,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
and aye for me as well. And I assume Darren's still not on, so the motion is approved.
Yes, thank you.
Does that include all the amendments?
That is all the amendments I have today. Yes, thank you very much.
All right, and thank you. Next item on the agenda is DEC wetland regulations. Start with an update by Greg.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. Not bringing much clarification or representing DEC in all of this, but just wanted to, I think, Matt, you also had some topics to bring on this topic. So I'll just give an update on what we've done, since late last winter, presentation by DEC staff from Fish and Wildlife at the Water Quality Symposium, subsequent discussion. We've been taking notes from districts, from planners, from NRCS, and from partners, and trying to collect them and get them to Fish and Wildlife staff, Jackie Lundrum and Krista Spohr, to help with particularly the wide range of more focused questions related to ag and the work that districts and NRCS and farmers and planners do related to the updated freshwater wetland regs, and particularly the jurisdictional determination process. So that continued through the spring in us taking notes and the district managers meetings in June. And soon after that, we, with the addition of a really well organized and kind of parallel list of questions from NRCS staff. So Blake, thank you to you and your staff on collaborating on that and bringing questions. we sent a list of ag focused questions to DC, and that was in early July. And with the offer of, hey, you know, in kind of partnership, we can work together on this and help craft responses to those that are able to be answered. And that would be the foundation for you know, any kind of outreach where it would help, whether it was, you know, something that we already have in the works with Krista Spohr from DC, and that's an ag-centered update at the Certified Crop Advisor training in December that Ron Bush is spearheading for us. And I know at the Ag Committee for the Water Quality Symposium, we talked about having revisiting the topic like we did last year with updates and further discussion, because I'm sure everybody, you know, on the line here and then in the room is gaining experience with the process, and it would be good to ask DC questions and calibrate on the most efficient paths forward. So our letter to DC in July was essentially an offer to help them expand their FAQ, and they have an existing FAQ, which when I'm done talking, I'll throw in the chat for some of these more ag specific questions. And you know, they span across some existing or long-standing parts of the wetland regs. So just a clarification on what practices in agriculture are exempt and what are not relative to the part 663.2 portion of the regs. Some specific questions about how the regs and determinations relate to the requirements of the CAFO permit. We picked up some, I'm sure not all. I think don't intend to be speaking for everybody here, but just trying to listen and capture and summarize and send to DEC. But some questions about district involvement, about NRCS staff involvement, about data layers and access to them for planning purposes. I think that's about a summary of the questions we asked. I realized, Bethany, we could share those in the minutes for this meeting. And, you know, if there was a district representative or two that wanted to join us in this with DC, you know, welcome that. And certainly Blake, Josh Herneski, and Val Podolak are in that mix too from NRCS. We every couple of weeks, just check in with DEC about the progress of responses to the questions, and just did that recently. So they were able to commit to the CCA training. That's good. And we're looking forward to them helping us with a date where we can meet and review some of their initial responses to the questions and maybe help them with them, because I think it's common among everybody in this meeting that, you know, we just want to you know, a little more help so that we can help, you know, protect wetlands while implementing complementary, you know, conservation practices through our programs. That's my thumbnail sketch. And if Matt, and if you know, like to share your portion there, I can, you know, certainly take notes from what you have and add to this, and as well as anybody else on the line.
Okay, Greg, thanks. And yeah, Bethany, if we can include those questions or concerns in the minutes so that the voting members all can see, you know, what the issues are right now, that would be helpful.
Yep.
And then for my part, our district manager brought up in our August meeting, I think it was, some concerns and issues that he had run into, John Parrish. And, you know, rather than me trying to recap that, I thought it would be best to have John come on and you know, discuss those issues himself, so that, you know, maybe we can find a way to follow up on them. They're non-agricultural issues, but I think they're important issues too. So John, are you on?
see.
He probably forgot. All right, well, I'll give it a shot. Oh,
No, go ahead, Matt.
So the two issues John brought up were our Part B project this year was going to be to put in a dry hydrant at a pond that was near the new office building, and I think he wanted to do a little cleaning of the pond, and of course this is for a fire protection project. And when he contacted the DEC office about it, he was told it would be a 8 to 9 month delay or review of it. And so that makes it so that
So quick.
we wouldn't be able to complete the Part B project in time, which is unfortunate. So I think he's looking at another project right now, but you know, I think that project was a good project, and I'm hoping that in the future maybe we can get it implemented. But I think it makes it difficult for districts to plan projects like that if they don't know how long the delay is going to be as part of the review. So that was one issue. The other issue was that we're not a huge agricultural county, but we do have several small lakes, and there's a lot of shoreline erosion issues that landowners are trying to address. And you know, some of this I think in the past has been done with a general permit on the part of the district, and I guess if I recall John's discussion with DEC correctly, he was told that you know, the idea was to remove, in one case was to remove an old concrete retaining wall that was falling in, and replace it with natural stone. And I think John, what he reported to the district directors was that he was told that they couldn't do anything. And so, you know, again, I think it's kind of unfortunate if that's the case, where we have a situation where a landowner is trying to improve a condition and is unable to. So those are two non-agricultural issues that came up in our district. I don't know if anybody else has any others, but I'd like to see if we can somehow follow up on this type of thing to see if any improvements can be made in the review process.
Question. In the case of the pond, is that like within a formally established wetland area?
Well, apparently that might be part of the problem too, is that I think John has been saying it's been a little hard to determine what is and isn't.
And the shoreline, is that possibly, are there wetland indicators there?
Again, you know, I'm not sure what he didn't get into that discussion, just that this is what's there now, this is what they want to do to fix it, and we're told they couldn't. And I think, you know, on his part, a lot of the concern is there were a lot of things that the district used to be able to do with a general permit that now apparently they can't.
Thank you.
Hello, Dylan here from Columbia County. We were in a similar situation where we were assisting a fire company with getting a permit for installing a dry hydrant. And it was not clear if the wetland, if the DEC had jurisdiction. And we asked the DEC to claim jurisdiction so we could void the lengthy jurisdiction determination process. And they did. And that just, in that way, we could just submit the joint application and it expedited the process.
And jurisdiction is determined by reviewing like an online map tool, is that correct?
Yeah,
How-
rough
how is that?
analysis by DEC.
Yeah, I think one of the problems John was concerned about is communication. You know, he was saying that the review had to start at the Albany office, or the request had to go to the Albany office and then to the regional office and then to the district. I believe is the way he described it. And so that's why some of these things were going to take longer as far as the review process. But also, you know, when he reaches out to the DEC, apparently sometimes there's been lack of response. So I don't know if these are things that can be somehow discussed and improved on, or.
Matt, I'll just mention the topics come up in at least one district in Region 3. And the two issues that came up there were difficulties in determining jurisdiction on previously constructed projects. So NLCS and ward districts building, say, a pond or retention at some point, and then over the years having it evolve into at least have the characteristics of a wetland and then being determined to be a wetland. And that was one thing to maybe focus on. And the other is the competing goals of the state for no net loss, I suppose, and protection of wetlands versus resiliency, where the places in the landscape where you might want to put resiliency type practices may be borderline wetlands, and then some sort of prioritization is going to have to take place as to which is the more important goal. Do you want to have resiliency for people downstream of that practice, or you really, or is the higher priority habitat and the like? Wetlands can do a flood attenuation ecosystem service, and which should be taken advantage of by districts to help in the resiliency aspect of the things that we do. And in discussions, that would be a nice thing to bring up to DEC so that we can get clarification on where we could put these kind of projects and not run into permitting issues.
Right. And I think what I'm going to do, Bethany, is have John just send you an email.
I'm on, man.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, John, I tried to describe your situation there with the shoreline issue and the Part B issue as best I could.
Okay.
I don't know if you have anything you want to share.
Well, I guess my concern is over the past 3 or 4 years we've gotten a good relationship with the homeowners on the lakes in the park and in the county, and we've done quite a few shoreline repair projects, and we've worked with DEC and Fish and Wildlife, and we've been able to use our general permit. And this year, after they've changed the new wetland laws, I've gotten quite a few calls on doing more shoreline repair projects, but I'm hitting a roadblock with them not either responding to me, as in DEC. I understand they're probably short-staffed, but I can't even get them to call me back, and they aren't allowing the practices that we've done in the past, which I don't understand, because we've always done taking out the old concrete retaining walls and put back in what they required, which was natural stone. And so we've been doing those as such, and it's worked out very well. And with that being said, we've gotten quite a few more people that have shoreline retaining walls that are tipped over, falling in, and they want to fix them, but we just can't seem to get a response. And when they do, they're telling them they can't use concrete, and now they can't use stone, but they're not giving them any kind of option. So I've been trying to. I talked with Beth McGee, and she says, we have to go through proper channels, and when I do, they're telling me 8 to 9 months review period. Well, that kind of hinders my my Part B project, which falls in the parameters of the general permit of as maintenance dredging. We have an old pond that needs to get cleaned out, and we want to put the district wants to put a dry hydrant in it for fire protection, and I can't get anybody even to come look at it, let alone call me back. So we're kind of like at a standstill. And my other, go ahead.
The one question that came up on the dry hydrant was whether that pond was in a previously designated wetland.
No. No. The old wetland maps and the new wetland maps they're not even close what each one looks like now is totally different. And even with the new wetland map, it's not in a wetland. It's adjacent to one, but it's not considered in a wetland.
And John, are you mainly communicating with your regional office or with the state office?
Regional. I did speak with Corey, because his biologist lives in Montgomery County, and he has come out and done site visits and said, okay, you don't need to go any further. You can continue, or you need to do a full-blown permit. But they won't. That's of course a different region, so he can't come up to me and. I'm not trying to cause issues, but call me back. Tell me yes or no, or we're behind because we're so busy. But I had an NCON officer call me 2 weeks ago on a violation, and as we're talking, the biologist was calling him. I said, "Please have her call me back," and she never did. But there again, I'm not trying to cause any waves. It's just frustrating.
Hey, John, this is Brian. Is that Region 5 office up in Raybrook, or there's one in Northville too? I mean, do they do different things?
Everything will come out of Warrensburg for us.
Warrensburg. Okay.
Yep.
What is
Northville? We've always had a good relationship with them. It's just things have gotten tied up with the new wetland laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if part of the issue, of course, is staffing, then I think somehow that will have to be addressed. It seems if you have new regulations and you don't have the staff to implement them.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right. And to tell me that it can take that long for a review period, that's that's 3/4 of a year.
This is Pete Nichols, Schoharie County, so we're experiencing the same issue in Region 4. Even with Article 15 permits, almost like the agency's gone radio silent. And I really think it's just because they're bogged down with all these new regulations. They just, and we saw this coming when these came into play in January. So I think it's going to be a statewide issue if it isn't already.
I agree, Pete. I agree.
I don't know, Bethany, what the next step is. If the state committee staff wants to try to continue communication with the folks they've been working with, or how, you know, what's going to be the best approach right now, but.
Yeah, well, open to thoughts from anyone on the line. We certainly have started that line of communication with folks from the Albany office, at least to get some clarifications and better guidance on ag specific projects. So maybe, you know, we can kind of start, if there are non-ag specific questions that we'd like to try to get clarification on. I think that's something we could probably just add to that list and in our work and working with those folks. I was trying to summarize, you know, this discussion a little bit in my mind and, you know, recognize there's a big concern with the delays that come with the project review. But another, I guess, I think another one of the main concerns, and correct me if I'm not summarizing it right, has to do with, I guess, determining the location and whether or not it needs to go through a review.
Yes, I agree, Bethany. And that's why the biologist needs to tell us, yes, it needs to go further, or no, you're good to go. That would help significantly.
Yeah, Bethany, in the chat, Tony has something, if you want to just review that. Just let everyone know that he appreciates the conversation. We'll go to his management team.
Okay, yeah, Melissa just brought to my attention our DEC representative, Tony Prestigiacomo, added to the chat that he will make sure to relay these concerns to the management team at DEC.
Great.
Yeah, good. That'll be helpful. And I think too, I would suggest that any district that has any of these issues, similar issues, different issues, to, you know, send a summary of it to the state committee staff, and then they can bring it to DEC's attention maybe at future meetings, and maybe we can make some progress on it.
Yeah, and Amanda Barber also just added to the chat that in Region 7, or the DEC Region 7 office is holding meetings with districts to try to work through some of these issues, and talking about training and delegation of authority to districts. Amanda, I don't want to put you in a spot, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about how often those meetings are occurring, and if it's just more of an informal, just open up discussion, or I guess I just would like to hear a little bit more about how those are going, and if there's a way, I don't know, somehow we can encourage other regions to do the same.
I think we'll be cautiously optimistic on this. So it started with Region 7 sponsored a meet and greet and meeting here at the regional office in Cortland, and all the districts and there's, you know, most of their staff were invited to attend. We heard about a variety of programs, presentations during that, you know, from the wetlands, from permits in general, stormwater. There were a number of presentations that occurred. And as a result of that, they have started to hold, and we had our first meeting on the end of August, what we called a working group, district and DEC working group meeting. And we're going to have those periodically, at least quarterly, but they're definitely looking at, kind of how we can work together to service our mutual customers and clients. I know, I don't know if Oswego County is on the line here, but I know Oswego County, because of some of the wetland permitting that they're expecting in that area, Oswego and Onondaga County, they were really looking to try to work with them to get some staff trained to be able to do some more of these wetlands delineations and or determinations, because there's going to be a big need in that area. Our point was we don't want to hold up it, even if there's only 2 or 3 permit requests in Cortland or requests for delineation or determination. We don't want to hold those up either. So we're just trying to figure it out where there's opportunities to work together and how we might work together. But Dareth Glantz is great, and she has definitely shown me a willingness to look to utilize the expertise of the districts to help everybody get the job done. So
Delta Barber.
that's it for me.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, those kind of meetings, I think across the state and different regions would probably be very helpful to everybody.
I agree.
And I think that was driven by the regional office out there in Region 7.
Director.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe there's an opportunity there to try to bridge that gap. I don't know. So I guess back to next steps. What do you think about adding a couple of additional, questions based on the discussion we've had here today, just to kind of continue that conversation with DEC to try to get some additional information out there to districts?
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen. And as I said, I think the more the districts pass these concerns on to state committee staff, so they can follow up with them, that'll be good. Any other comments on this issue? If not, Bethany, I think we're on to the reports. Is that correct?
You are correct. We are ahead of schedule, so that's a good thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I guess we'll start with the voting members. I'll let you
All
lead
right,
that.
well, I'm happy to report that our new office building is under construction and concrete's poured. He was working on putting together the exterior and interior walls so he could put them up. And I think they may actually be up by now. That was last week.
They are up.
Saw that. They're not?
They are
Or
up,
they are.
and trusses are coming today, and he's going to start setting them this week.
Great. So we're moving along, and hopefully before it snows, we'll have that in pretty good shape. Scott, do you have anything to report?
Just next week is the Northeast NACD annual meeting and NYCD annual meeting as well. So if anyone still wants to come, I believe you still be able to register. It's gonna be a good meeting.
And they should reach out to Blanche.
Yeah, reach out to Blanche, as far as, registrations. She got all the information you need. That's it.
All right. Megan,
No report.
Maureen?
Since this is my first meeting, I'm not sure what's appropriate and what's not, but the last 2 weeks, my watershed committee worked with Finger Lakes Prism to do a bio blitz in Owacket Creek Park where we've been planting trees for the last 10 years. Hearing that we've got a pretty good overstory going, not complete, but still going. And now we're thinking about the understory and the forest floor to see what might we be able to improve as time goes on. So that was pretty good. If you don't know what a bio blitz is, it was gridded off, and we had teams that went out to each grid and in a half an hour identified every plant we could in that area. So it was a pretty cool experience. Tomorrow and Thursday, I'll be teaching soils for conservation field days for Monroe County. And then I will see whoever's going to be at the NYACD conference starting on Sunday.
Well, that
So
certainly
for-
was, for not being sure, that was a good report, good information, so.
For your bio blitz, Maureen, is that the mainly volunteer base? People come volunteer?
Actually, our new terrestrial species director, I'm not sure what her title is, Lydia Martin, she put the whole thing together. She works for PRISM, and she brought her staff with her, and also the aquatics. They did the stream as well in the one section, and then the rest were volunteers. My particular watershed committee, it's all volunteers. So there were, I think, 3 or 4 of us.
That's great. Thank you.
So Bethany, I guess it's up to you to run through the rest of the list.
All right. We'll do the same order as roll call. So we'll go through the in-person locations and then I'll go online. Really quick, just wanted to send a note or a reminder out to folks on the meeting today that we have scheduled a state aid to districts forum that will take place September 25th. This is something we try to do every year as a way to connect with districts, get feedback on specifically the state aid to districts program. I don't believe we were able to do it last year, so we're trying to get back into that annual schedule. It will be all virtual. We don't have any in-person locations for that particular meeting. So, just be aware of that. Our tentative schedule or agenda for that meeting is going to include a review of, well, it's actually a continuation of discussions that we had back in April at a state programs advisory committee meeting. At that meeting, we talked about the annual report that districts have to fill out and batted around some ideas on how that could be improved. We want to continue that conversation, show some different ideas and thoughts that we've had since that meeting in April. There are couple of minor tweaks to the performance measures that we want to propose, but mainly we just want to have open discussion and dialogue with districts about that program, and then wrap things up, get things finalized, and hopefully be able to present everything to the state committee for review and get those forms and information out to districts before the end of the year. I also want to mention, this is specifically for voting members, but each year you are required to do an ethics training. Sometimes that can happen. You can participate in a live online session throughout the year, or we can conduct an in-person ethics training as part of a state committee meeting. Everyone, with the exception of Megan, needs to complete an ethics training by the end of the year. So I wanted to ask if you guys would prefer me to build it into one of our upcoming meetings as something we do at the end, or if you want to try to go ahead and do it yourself online.
I think I'd rather just do it, as part of one of the future meetings.
Yeah, I agree.
fine with that.
Okay. And that is what we will do. I had to touch base with Darren separately, but I'm sure he'll be all for that as well. All right. All right, that's it for me for now. Lauren?
No, I have no report. Just a reminder, next Tuesday, 10 a.m. will be the webinar, as well as an SFS application review. So even if you're not interested in this RFP, you might want to tune in at the beginning for Jeff Byla's presentation on that. Everyone's welcome.
Thank you. Jason?
Nothing else to add. Thank you.
All right. Tim?
Just a reminder, Conservation Skills Workshop is coming up, first full week of October, and I hope to see many of you out there.
Actually, do you mind giving the committee an update on where things are at with the CAA training?
CAA training, I believe a survey went out to technicians to get their feedback on what kind of regional trainings they prefer. So we're waiting to hear back feedback back from them.
Perfect. So that's a follow-up to a written correspondence that we received a few months ago from the CDEA requesting that we work together to put together these different trainings for districts. So Tim, you met with Tom Eskildson and Jennifer Kelly.
That's right.
To kind of start talking about that, and as a result, this survey has gone out. So good things are moving forward. Brian.
Thank you. Sorry I wasn't able to join in the first hour today. But just a couple of things. Next week, we have a Wood Products Development Council meeting that will be in Syracuse, and my apologies, I won't be able to attend the Northeast and NYACD meeting next week. But Wood Products Development Council is really set up as an advisory council to the commissioner, where we bring in folks from the wood and forest products industry and talk about ways that we could advance and accelerate wood product use in New York State. SUNY ESF is obviously a really big partner along with Cornell University. But we also recognize that as it's been shifted to our division here in the department, we bring other expertise, knowledge, and background to it through conservation districts. So really happy to say that Bethany will be able to provide a district overview to this group, and then Joe Charbellotti from Oswego County will be talking to this group about private lands forest management that Oswego County Stormwater District does, and then also just talk broader about forest management efforts across districts. So trying to raise awareness of the work that conservation districts do in this space, and look forward to that meeting. Again, it'll be at SUNY ESF next week. And then also next week, we've been asked, Bethany was asked, and asked if I would do this, to be a part of a panel as part of New York Climate Week to discuss soil health and carbon sequestration and all the work that we're doing across the state with districts and farmers, CRF and other related programs. That'll be on Roosevelt Island at Cornell Tech next Thursday in New York City. So I'll be representing the team there.
Thank you.
I guess that's it. Yeah, excited, right? Hopefully they have free parking. No, I don't think they will.
Jennifer, anything else to add?
Just join me this Friday for the Round 9 webinar.
Be there, be square.
Melissa, any updates for the group?
Nothing to report, thanks.
All right. Let's move over to Syracuse. We'll start with you, Ryan, and then you guys can work around the room.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Bethany. Region 4, working with colleagues, the regional coordinators, with the transition with a new person downstate. We're kind of sharing files, closing out grants, Going to board meetings together and kind of meeting new boards. So I've made it to the 4 new counties that I'll be taking over. And so it's kind of behind the scenes. We're sort of sharing information and preparing for that. Trying to close down some coalition work we're doing with small pilot projects up in the Champlain watershed, kind of transition that stuff to Bend. Otherwise, a lot of the fall stuff that's coming out, reviewing a lot of annual plans of work for districts, kind of getting some feedback there before they get final board approval. Some Part B project reviews, AEM strategic plans as they're coming due towards the end of the year. We're kind of looking at some draft plans there and offering feedback. I know several counties did some stakeholder meetings over the summer to kind of get feedback from their local partners on how to build that plan for the next 5 years, which was great to see. Otherwise, we're also coming to the conclusion of a 2-year AIM 18. So a lot of tier 4 projects are winding down, encouraging districts to close those out with Jazz and myself and kind of getting those off the books so they don't have that compounded paperwork issue towards the end of the year with all the other stuff too. Otherwise, assisting with the new AEM round and answering questions on prioritizing projects and the new funding that will be coming out January 1st. And kind of working with some newer managers on some other transition things there. So, yep, that's mostly it for Region 4. But if there's any questions, I'll pass it off here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Bethany. Just one topic, and it's the AIM Leopold Conservation Award. First off, I just want to thank all the districts, Washington, Ulster, Essex, Tioga, Schoharie, Cayuga, Tompkins, and Columbia who submitted nominations for this year's award. It was a really strong pool. And last Friday, you may have already seen the press release. It was announced that the Oceaner Farm and the Tompkins County Saltwater Conservation Districts are the 2025 AIM Leopold Conservation Award recipients. Really incredible long-standing by the farm and the district and NRCS and Extension and other partners there in Tompkins County. And that farm really exemplifies everything about the award and more. And has extended that to other farmers in the area and even across the country at conferences. There's no way I could describe anything about this farm and how they go about things more articulately than them. So I've put the link in the chat there where you can read the press release, as well as click on a link to see the really nicely produced Sand County Foundation YouTube video of Tor and Rachel and Dan at the farm describing in the district how they go about things. So I really encourage you to click on that link and watch the video. And another good year. Thanks for everybody's help and involvement with that on the team.
Thank you, Greg. I'll just add on, I had the privilege of being able to go to that event on Friday, and others did as well. And it was an amazing opportunity to be part of that. And agreed, it was a really great day. Awesome farm, great community that showed up in support of that farm, which was pretty incredible to see. So
I think they filled a hayfield with cars.
Yeah.
The party afterward. Yep. That's definitely a community.
Yeah. So keep submitting those applications, because this is an important award. It brings awareness to the great work that this doing, but also really showcases farms and helps them lead by example. So thanks, Greg. Dan.
Yeah, just real quickly, obviously, kind of a field day, twilight meeting season is winding down, but on a statewide note, there are still a few more soil health field days between now and I think either the first or second week of October is when the last one is. So just look out for those in your area.
Thank you, Dan. Maureen, you already delivered a report, so we can jump right to Scott.
Everybody, a lot of the similar work that Ryan laid out with the transition closeouts, annual plans of work. Just wrapped up my final round 30 plan of works as well. One thing I'd like to mention, it's getting later in the year. I'm also the prep coordinator for the state, so I'll be looking for folks that are on the line who have CREP eligible watersheds in their districts. This is your chance to submit for the report that goes to Congress. Success stories, things that you find challenging about implementing the CREP program in your county, and any suggestions that you might have for improving the CREP program. Definitely send me an email so that I can incorporate those things into the annual report. I'm going to try to get the annual report submitted earlier this year than I have done in the past, which has usually been a Christmas time sort of endeavor, but we can submit as soon as USDA is ready. I think they'll be ready pretty soon. And of course, we have our Agnon Point Source stuff already in the can. So if you have ideas or suggestions or things that you would like to note, make sure that they get run up the chain. Just make sure to send me that and I'll get it in the report. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. PJ.
Thank you. Very similar to what Ryan and Scott said, grant closeouts, board meetings, trainings, things of that nature. Also been working on the DEC 4-hour erosion and sediment control course update with district staff, as well as DEC staff. And so that's coming along quite well. Also wanted to thank Tony for agreeing to come and help out with the watershed course at next week's NYACD's annual meeting and training development program. So that was great. Also the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition is ongoing, working with Tony and DEC staff on that as well. Capacity contract moving forward, of course, and implemented. And we're working on the BMP implementation with you and Brian. And so appreciate all that work. Also had a chance to attend the Genesee River Watershed Planning meeting down in the southern tier. Very good meeting where they sought public comments on the plans and ideas for projects. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for the districts in that watershed as well here in the future. And then also skills workshop, stormwater class is all set and done. It's going to be a walking tour. So those of you who signed up for the class, just a reminder, bring water, dress for the weather, and check out our meeting location because we're not going to be meeting in the Auburn area. We're going to be meeting at Beyond Center. So other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, PJ. Moving to our Wyoming County location. Megan, I know you indicated no report, but is there anybody else in the room that would like to share any news or report out?
Bethany, this is Victor. Regionally, I'll just hit the copy and paste button compared to what the other guys have already said. Pretty consistent workload and activities in Region 1. The only other new topic I'll just mention briefly is the next operations subcommittee meeting is scheduled for November 6th. This will be a WebEx meeting scheduled to convene from 1 to 3 p.m. Always looking for new participants to assist us with the development of the operations manual for soil and water districts. And in addition to the meeting on November 6th, we also plan to have an informal get together on the evening of October 28th. This would be the evening of the administrative conference in Cazenovia. As I said, informal meeting where we'll have an opportunity to discuss some of the recent updates to the operations manual and hopefully spur any additional interest to the committee. That's all for today.
Thank you, Victor. Daryl, anything from you?
No, first meeting I've attended. It's very good. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your attendance. Okay, so moving on to the folks who are joining us remotely, we will run through advisory members and then hit the staff. Let's see. Julie may have left, but is there anybody from Cornell Cals still on? Okay. How about CDEA?
Hi, Bethany. It's Jessica. Caitlin has sent the report over for CDEA, but there is a couple of things that I'd like to point out. Caitlin would like me to thank Bethany for hosting the meeting with her and NYACD's Blanche, and for considering the Soil and Water Conservation District's budget needs in the 2026 EPF. The meeting was fantastic and productive, and she'd also like to thank NYACD for their support of CDEA's EPF request. Additionally, a couple things. Conservation Skills Workshop will be held October 6th through the 9th in Auburn. The administrative conference will be held October 28th through the 29th in Cazenovia. These are both great events that have great courses lined up for district staff. CDEA's next meeting is actually tomorrow. We have a special meeting via Zoom, and our next in-person meeting will be November 17th through the 18th at Delphi Falls County Park, excuse me. Lastly, Water Quality Symposium will be held March 10th through the 13th in Rochester. We are currently working on scheduling some wonderful courses for the four-way partnership staff. Sorry. Other than that, that is all I have to report, and I thank you all.
Thank you, Jessica. How about DEC?
Nothing to report today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Department of Health?
Good afternoon, everyone. Morgan here. Nothing major to report except Paul Kazmarzik, who was a serving advisory member for many, many years, has officially retired. So going forward, I will be our primary point person for New York State Department of Health. And over the next several meetings, I will probably be bringing in some staff who will help out me with tasks as they arise.
Thank you very much, Morgan.
Thank you.
Did we have anybody from Department of State join? Okay, how about SUNY ESF? I think someone joined and then maybe had to leave. Okay, and NRCS?
Just a few nuggets. As of right now, NRCS is busy closing out our current fiscal year ahead of October 1st. Our field offices will be at 100% obligated by the end of this week, and we are still waiting on our final funding numbers as to how our fiscal year 2026 budget is going to look. So no answers in that department just yet.
All right, thank you, Elena. Okay. Moving on to state committee staff who may be joining us on the line. Chaz, do you have a report additional to anything else you've shared today?
Nope, I think I covered it all. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Ron, you still on? Ron may have had to bounce. Brendan, any reports to share today?
Nothing to report today. Thank you, Bethany.
All right. And Gideon, any reports for today? Would you lead to?
Sorry,
All right.
I couldn't find. Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. No, just enjoying my time so far as part of the team and working on preparing for the Conservation Skills Workshop.
Great, thank you so much. And just to echo the report that I delivered on Brian's behalf earlier, we are very excited that you've been able to join the staff and look forward to the future for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so I believe that wraps up all of our state committee staff. So I do want to open it up to any conservation districts who may be on the line. feel free to come off of mute and share a report if you'd like. Amanda.
I hadn't really planned to say anything, but just the new person from the health department on just made me think of this. This is an issue that's been ongoing periodically over the last several years, where our local county environmental health department is allowing the construction of new wells in, locations that are in close proximity to known sources of manure spreading. And that is causing challenges for the farms, because then they have to continue to update their CAFO plans to identify where those wells are. And then they have to start employing setbacks and things to comply with their permit, when if the health department had just followed their own guidance to not allow new wells to be located within the 200 feet of the manure applications, it wouldn't be an issue. So this just, it continues to come up. It comes up at our Farm Bureau meetings. It comes up to me. I've reached out to our environmental health department with not a lot of change, obviously, and certainly no satisfaction as a result of that conversation. And I elevated it to Jason Mulford a few days ago, but I thought this was an opportunity to let the committee know about that as well. So thank you.
Appreciate that, Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda, I know when that regulation was passed years ago, that was one of the primary concerns we had, is that the obligation not be on the part of the farmer to move back, that the well, in fact, be sited, in consideration of where manure is being spread. And it's unfortunate that it's not working.
I'm just not sure what we do about it. I've had the conversation, I've had the nice conversation, I've had the, pulled out the reference and pointing to their own, guidance documents, their own fact sheet, and it doesn't seem to go anywhere.
Is that a permitted process? Like the landowner, whoever's looking to drill the well or put the well in, they have to get a permit first? And
Yes.
So, yeah.
At least in this county. And there's also, DEC has a permitting process for any well drilling as well.
Yeah.
Hi, I will say I personally do not have, this is Morgan from State Health. I don't have any participation with anything well related here, as private wells aren't generally regulated by New York State Health. So, I'm not familiar with the names that you've mentioned, Amanda. I do know that, it's not a program that I'm highly involved with. We do have a well program here, but I'm not as familiar with everything that they do. So, you could always reach out to us at DOH at the state level, if, local departments, just to continue conversation. But other than that, I apologize. I have no further, I'm not sure how otherwise to help. But I know it's frustrating. Wells are.
Put me in touch with someone, that would be great. That was part of my question to Jason, is who might be well versed in this topic at the Department of Health, State Department of Health, that we could go to.
Let me ask around. I know the people who deal with it. I just don't see them all the time. But I could shoot one of them a Teams message and reach out to you. I'm sorry, who are you with again?
Cortland County.
Okay. Yeah. We'll look into it and reach out. I'll have them
Appreciate
reach out
that.
to you. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for the opportunity, Bethany.
No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Morgan, for stepping in to help make some connections.
Yeah, no problem. I know regs are frustrating. They can be.
Yeah. Any other district reports today? Or any reports from the general public? who might be in attendance? Okay, hearing none, I think we can move on to the next agenda item, Matt.
Okay, I just wanted to say that, talking about the Leopold Award, I meant to mention that, but, I agree with what everybody else is saying about the video. It was fantastic. I was hoping to be able to make it out there, but I had another engagement, so I couldn't. I was really disappointed in that, but the farm definitely was, the video really impressive. So congratulations again to them. The next meeting is scheduled for October 21st. Is that good with the voting members?
Yeah, I guess so.
Alrighty, so,
I will add in here that we were batting around an idea of trying to put together an in-person meeting in Utica for the October meeting. I don't know if anybody has any particular thoughts on that, but we've been trying.
yeah, I remember we did talk about that, you and I was in favor of it, and it worked for me.
Usually a little more lead time than a month is helpful for me with making travel plans.
Okay.
All right, so I guess Bethany, you'll keep us posted on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I shouldn't be too much to go through the step to reserve a room in Utica if we want to plan for that.
Yeah, I
But
think
yes,
that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
All right, and I will let you take over on the next item.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. So, at this point in the agenda, we have to ask all districts, with the exception of our CDEA designated rep, and any farmers, to recuse from the round 30 Ag non-point source rank list discussion. For awareness, we did have the state committee approve the round 30 rank list in June, I believe, but noticed a discrepancy and we have to present it again to the state committee for reapproval. So that is what we are doing here today. So we'll just give folks a few moments to sign off, and then Jason, we can proceed.
Bethany, as I recall, I recused myself last time because of a relative at the Porterdale farm, and then there was some question as to whether that was a close enough relative for it to be an issue. Was there any more discussion about that?
I don't believe it is a conflict of interest.
Okay.
So, I think I don't really have any concerns.
Okay, just wanted to double check on that.
All right, bear with me here. Just got a few people here. Thank you, Jenny. Hold on one moment. We got a few stragglers still on the line, so I'm just trying to pull up my participant list. So hold on one moment. No.
Did you get it, Bethany?
No, I don't know why I can't see my participant list.
I have, Crisco's on there. Right
Hey
now.
Bethany, do you want me to hop off Morgan Tarbo?
No, we just have a couple district folks.
Okay.
Christos, if you can hear me, we're gonna need you to sign off.
Kevin Angel.
And there's someone, Kevin Engel from Oneida County,
Oh,
who will
Jason,
need to sign
sign
off.
off.
And Norm Leach. I don't know who that is.
I don't have that individual. All right, I think this is as good as we're gonna get. So, Jason, let me pull up your list here and we'll go from there, and I will try to zoom in, folks, to save your eyes.
Okay.
Take it away.
Sure. So let me just give context. So we were closing out round 30 and during procurement, I did observe that early on when we were accepting proposals, I missed one of them, one of the 146 that were put in. So we need to consider them all. And we did bring it forward and had this proposal scored, ranked, and this is the subsequent list. It does not change the actual award list. We have the same number of contracts awarded, the same districts that are awarded. The subject proposal was not awarded. I guess I can give the details on it. It was Livingston 24-2. It just was a clerical error. Two applications were in one folder, human error. That being said, I did want to make a point while you guys were reviewing this. When I observed this, Bethany and Greg right away, they dropped everything to help me. Our council came up with a plan right away, and all our reviewers reviewed the proposal within a week. So I'm very appreciative to have such a supportive group around me, and appreciative that this is a somewhat easy resolution.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, this stuff happens, and it was fortunate enough you were thorough enough in your review of the documents to catch it before, sending anything on to the comptroller's office for review. If you have an actual printed copy of the ranked list, this was on the EPF list, correct?
EPF, I think
The way it's
76.
Yeah, the way it's broken down, you have your Bond Act projects and then EPF projects. This was an EPF project.
You see it's a little yellowed.
Yeah, that's for you.
Is there any questions or discussion concerning this?
I appreciate your thoroughness in catching that. That was the right timing.
Yeah, it's fortunate that it was caught.
Yeah. So, bear with me here. I'm gonna pull up, we have to do another resolution. And I forgot to pull it up ahead of time, so bear with me.
Okay.
And I'll get it up. All right, here we go. So, Jason, if you want to go ahead and read it out for the group?
Yes. Resolution 2025-03, reapproval of the Round 30 Agricultural Non-Point Source Abatement and Control Grant Program ranked list of proposals. Subject to the availability of funds, the committee shall award funding pursuant to Round 30 of the Agricultural Non-Point Source Abatement and Control Program for projects ranked on each of the two lists, one list per funding source in the order ranked and in the amounts recommended by the advisory members of the committee until funds available for this purpose are exhausted or the scoring threshold is reached consistent with the Soil and Water Conservation District law, the RFP, and any other applicable funding of such projects. Consistent with the RFP, the committee authorizes the Department of Agriculture and Markets to negotiate the terms of the contract with the project sponsors and to make minor adjustments to the project descriptions and budget as necessary to achieve the project goals, conform to the application laws and regulations, and to serve the best interest of the state.
Okay, thank you, Jason. I believe we need a motion to approve the resolution.
I saw motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right, we will go to voting. Scott?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
An aye for me as well, so the motion approved.
Thank you all for that
And
consideration.
Jason and Bethany and, oh, sorry, and the team, I just, you know, when stuff happens, you work hard to learn from it too. So this has been really helpful in that regard, that we've built an independent review check at that stage of the application acceptance and review process. So, you know, there's silver linings from all this stuff too.
All right, Bethany, I'm thinking that we are about ready to adjourn, are we?
I think so.
All right, well, thanks everybody for their participation, and we'll wait to hear from you, Bethany, about the location of the next meeting for sure, but with that, hopefully we'll see everybody in Utica.
Yep, I'll be in touch fairly soon, just so folks can get some planning ahead.
Yep, okay,
Thank you.
all right, we'll see you all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.